Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. This is Devil's Advocate. I'm drinking the Jadon Sancho Kool-Aid, and today we're here to talk all things Manchester United, all the latest news, transfer news, and everything that is about Manchester United here today. And unexpected live stream happening tonight, but we just said we'd like to maybe start the video just like Manchester United started this deal a bit late. Myself and my guests were haggling over the start time. I said 9:30. Reece Russell said 25 to 10. Greg Chambers said 9:45. But I decided to meet in the middle and go 37 minutes past. But however, anyway, we're here to talk Jadon Sancho, the Jadon Sancho transfer to Manchester United, which has been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. It's been confirmed by Christian Falk, David Ornstein, all the top journalists and tier one journalists in the world of football. And look, it's been a long time coming. And, look, I think for me, it's a relief that we finally got a right winger in here today. And so we finally have, we've had Cavani, who broke that number 7 curse. But now we have someone in Sancho who is coming in. And he's a young player with levels of potential that we haven't seen for a potential Manchester United number 7 in a long time. So very happy to see Jadon Sancho come to Manchester United. I'm going to bring the first guest in. I was negotiating personal terms with him when I asked him to come on. His name is Mr. Reece Russell. Reece, how are you feeling this evening? How's it going?
Fucking get in. There you go, mate. Gloves are off. Let's go. All right. Now we move on. What a start to more like what an end to the week, I should say, pretty much. End to the day. Brilliant that we've announced Sancho's about time. There's a little bit of entertainment as well for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, for me, anyone who knows me, I've been doing this podcast since last year. I've been on the Jadon Sancho kind of, buzz train since last year, and to see kind of this sign finally more or less been over the line. Of personal terms have been agreed for a year. A medical has been kind of on the horizon. After the Euros, that'll be done. I'd say quickly. I'd say they could even do it whilst he's on duty, but the fact they're going to Rome for this game, they'll probably be done when they get back from Rome, the England squad, in the next couple of days, win or lose. But yeah, before I bring in another guest, we're just negotiating his start time there, just his add-ons and what we're paying him for coming on.
50 pence, that's the Scottish wages.
Yeah, 50 pence. Because obviously in Ireland, the minimum wage rate is different here to Scotland and the UK.
Just give us 50 pence, a curly whirly and an iron brown, we'll be all right.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm going to bring in our next guest. He was probably the biggest haggler in this deal and coming on the show here today. It's the host of the Talk of the League podcast from the weekly Armchair Kickoff. It's Mr. Gregory Chambers. Greg, how's it going this evening?
Yeah, not too bad. You're in my car, bouncing on my steering wheel, so if it falls, that's why. But yeah, not doing too bad. Buzzing that this deal's finally done. Seems like we've been talking about it for years now. I'm glad it's done. It's over. We can focus on the next one now, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, there's so much implications with this deal in terms of what number shirt he's going to get, where is he going to play, what the hell is other players going to be affected. So we're going to talk about all that, obviously, all in the positive light, because, look, again, it's one of the biggest transfers we've had in such a long time, and it's probably the longest saga that we've had that's actually come true. Like, we've seen Wesley Sneijder, Nico Gaitan, all players like this who are still waiting to do their medical at United. So, like, when you look at this deal, it's been a long time coming, and I think for most United fans to kind of get that offer back and kind of finally have a signing that we've craved for so long, especially the right wing position, it's kind of it's good to see, and someone who has that potential to be a world class player. He's obviously not that yet. There's a long way to go. To be that type of player, but he has that ceiling. Reece, I'll come to you first. Obviously, look, there's been there's been obviously a lot of talk in the last kind of year and a half, like in terms of this transfer saga. Like we've seen, the Dortmund were holding out for 120 million last year, then it went to 100 million, and then it went to, obviously this asking price is 72 million pounds.
Absolutely.
For yourself, Reece, when you see this saga and it's kind of been dragging on that long, and I know, like, look, it's a year overdue almost. Like this transfer, really and truly, if the Glazers did put their finger out the backside, it probably would have been last year. But overall, now, are you just as excited now as you would have been last year?
I think I'm sort of like 50-50, you know what I mean? Like, I'm excited we've got him, but I'm also like the other side where it's been that long, and I'm like, I've been waiting for the announcement for so long, and I'm just like, bored to death. But I think every fan is, to be honest. Like, they're excited we've got him, but we're bored to death that it took this long. But the fact that we've got a player of this quality as well, and you were right, he isn't world class. He isn't world class, and that's not a hackle at Sancho, by the way. He's getting at that level. Like, he is one of the best wingers in the world. He's not the level of yet. He's still got to go. But he's something that you can build a future on.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely someone who you can definitely build on and has, all the accolades and all the kind of the tools to be a good right winger for United. And we haven't had one since Ronaldo left the club. Like, I know Ronaldo kind of drifted between left and right, but I think when you look at the signings we've made, like Diallo, yes, he's a project signing. You look at Oberhan, not a good signing. Di Maria, he didn't work out, and he was more or less a number 10 for Madrid in his final season at Real Madrid. Like, you look at other players, like we've tried to fill that gap, it just hasn't worked. But you look at Jadon Sancho now, it is one of these things. It's just
I don't know what the fuck's going on with this camera. It keeps like making me feel like I'm doing the hokey cokey, and it's not deliberate. Look, this is not my fault.
Oh my god,
this is not my fault.
Tim, if you're watching,
this is not my fault. I swear, I'm not doing anything. This is itself. I'm nothing to do with this.
Jump out the stream and jump in. But like, I think it's one of these things where I think this sign has so much potential to really fill a gap on this right hand side that we haven't had in a couple of years. Especially when you consider, Greg, a lot of our attacks go through Bruno and Rashford in terms of that side. When you look at the percentages when it gets broken down, in terms of the percentages of the attack, I think you look at it and you say, this now gives Manchester United an extra dimension in their attack and play. It gives teams another thing to think about, especially the fact, when you have Bruno, Pogba, maybe even and Mason and Cavani to play as strikers the next season. Mm-hmm. You have Diallo who can, maybe deputise, for Sancho if he's like going on to the left. Let's say if Rashford's out. Like, how are you feeling now about this transfer? Because it's definitely, one for me where it's adding so much to our team that basically, we've an extra dimension and we can definitely be a lot stronger going forward, even though we were very strong last year anyway in many aspects. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And things what cost us last year in terms of points was breaking down the sides that sit a bit deeper, and we struggle to move the ball left to right, and we struggle to beat teams that sit deep. We've struggled since Ollie came in at doing that. And Sancho improves that because it allows you to move the ball quicker from left to right, and then actually have an end product on the right hand side that isn't Wan-Bissaka overlapping Greenwood, because Wan-Bissaka's attacking play is okay. I'm expecting a massive jump from him from playing with Sancho as well, because he'll be told Wan-Bissaka just needs to be told by someone, you stand there because otherwise you're going to get in my way, whereas Greenwood doesn't have that because he's not that natural right-sided player. Whereas Sancho, if he's playing on that right-hand side, he played a lot of time at Dortmund on the right-hand side. So he should really be taking command and just been saying to Wan-Bissaka, you stand there because otherwise you're getting in my way. And then that'll help Wan-Bissaka improve. But he's going to improve the whole team. He'll help us break down attacks better. He gives us more qualities if we needed more quality up top. And it gives teams, like you said, another thing to think about. You can't put two men on to Bruno Fernandes anymore and leave the right hand side because it's young Mason Greenwood, because it's not going to be. It's going to be someone like Jadon Sancho, an accomplished player at Champions League level even. So yeah, absolutely buzzing about the signing. Like over the moon. It could have been done last year, but I've said many times I don't think Sancho's the difference between us winning anything last year and then not. See a lot of Man United fans saying that if we'd signed him last year we'd have won something. No, we wouldn't. We weren't that. But we wouldn't have won the league. Probably wouldn't have won the league because there were still the stupid mistakes at the back and conceded. And the Europa League final, unless he takes the last penalty instead of De Gea, that's really the only difference. But no, massive signing. He'll help us all. We just need to kick on now, get another one. Right winger was a massive area that probably should have been improved last year. So at least it's been improved now, but now we need centre back and a holding midfielder to sort of round it off.
Yeah, I think, look, you're bang on the money of that. I think when you look at the Wan-Bissaka thing, I think Sancho kind of takes the burden off him on that right-hand side when there's an overlap. Like, at least Sancho is direct enough to take on a player, whereas like Greenwood comes in, comes inside in his left foot, and people know that's going to happen. Like sometimes he might switch onto his right, but generally he goes onto his left. Whereas Sancho, he beats past the player and gets a ball into a box. He gets the ball into the box. Do you know what I mean? We haven't had a right winger do that in such a long time.
No.
Yeah. So, like, I think when you look at it, it's such a good signing for the attacking side of the game, and also like the burden again for Wan-Bissaka. He can just solely, like, you know, obviously he still needs to improve going forward. So there is times where Sancho may come in field and try take on a player that way, and then Wan-Bissaka might have to provide an overlap at some stages. So maybe he still has to improve in his attacking. Like, I think he's definitely still has to do that. But I think a lot of the burden could be taken off him by this signing, because it is a natural right winger, because we haven't had that in such a long time. Reece, when you look at this signing, obviously right wing options now at the moment, you look at Amad Diallo, you look at Jadon Sancho, obviously Mason Greenwood can play on the right. Yeah. When you look at the left hand side of midfield now, obviously you have Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, Dan James. Mm-hmm. Is this a case now where we actually have strength and depth in these positions, where Ollie now can maybe utilize squad rotation next year when it gets to like the nitty gritty type games where we have 3 games in a week? Do you think maybe in these attacking positions we now have the luxury to rotate, because as I said, you've your Cavani's, Rashford's, Greenwood's, Sancho, Diallo who proved late last season he can play there, and you have the caveat that Dan James did have a decent Euros too, and Martial before he got injured did have a decent spell at United, got man of the match against Man City, and also did play well in international duty. Where are you in terms of our squad depth in the attacking positions?
I think the attacking positions are finally sorted. This is probably our best forward line since 2008, respectfully. It's been that long. Like, we haven't had quality in each position for well over a decade. So I think this is the absolute right time. My only concern is just some of these players, they've fit the role perfectly well, if you know what I mean. Like, they've adapted comfortably, but there's still some players getting used to the role they need to play. So there's still going to be an adjustment period for that, which isn't a problem. But the fact that we've got immediate quality to just go straight to the starting lineup, that gives us an extra thing. And the good thing as well is, regardless of when England lose in the Euros, we already know Marcus Rashford is, I said lose. The minute it ends, Marcus Rashford is going for his surgery anyway. So we'll be doing pre-season, and we'll be starting the season potentially with Sancho on the left-hand side. So either way, with Sancho on the left, that's fine for me. And then as soon as Rashford's back, he'll just dip onto the right wing.
Do you maybe think Martial may play the start of the season on the left, because
he could?
Like, he could, because he's played there, and when you look at statistically, his form from Man United off the left is quite good. Like, in terms of goals scored.
Well, his best goal scoring season, like that 21 goal season, he scored 17 goals from the left hand side, and he scored 4 from a central position. So there is a chance for that. To be fair, I'm going to say this now, even though I don't particularly rate him. I think Dan James will probably start first game of the season. I think he'll start against Leeds.
Yeah, it's Leeds.
Very possibly. He played well. Played well against Leeds last season at Old Trafford, and definitely can stretch him. And we've commented here from Trevor, even Trevor.
Don't
Hope you're all
own
well,
any.
pal. He said, I think I saw a glimpse of Dan James' pajamas there, Reece. Turn on the light. Yeah, you know, for everyone who knows, Reece is Daniel James' biggest fan, and he has a pair of Dan James pajamas in his wardrobe. So, look, don't worry, there is a lot of Dan James love for Reece.
I'll give the lad credit. He's had the brilliant Euros. I'll give him credit.
He's had a very good Euro. He's one of Wales' best players. I just
don't think he's good enough for Man United. Like, at least I'm honest enough for that, but that's as far
maybe
as I'll
not
go.
a starter,
He could prove me wrong.
I think he can be a useful player. I've said this already. I think
He's a
there's
really good
going
squad
to.
player.
He could prove me wrong, and I'm
like
all
Jason
for
Park.
it.
I'm not comparing Dan James to Jason Park in terms of quality, but Jason Park had a role in big games, like against certain opposition, where he'd suit the team, and I think Dan James can do a similar role in the squad to that. Not like in terms of quality, he's probably not going to have the cult hero status of Jason Park and the trophies that what Jason Park won at Man United, but he can play a similar role in the squad to be that kind of go-to man in a certain game where he's going to put in a shift and he'll put in a 7, 8 out of 10 in that game. So I think Dan James has a role in that regard.
Yeah, I'm going to give him more time this season because I believe this is his second full season. I think with us. I think it's his second or it's his third, and he's still 22. So I'm going to give him the season just to like prove me wrong. I've got nothing against a player proving me wrong, but I just don't think he's what people make him out to be. I don't think he's there yet. He still lacks a few things, but
I think you're right. I just don't think he has he doesn't ever have a bad game. Like, he doesn't have a bad game. Like, he has his worst game's a 5, which is fine. Like, you got players in that team that are very capable of dropping a 2 out of 10. Yeah. Like, Rashford, if he's off, Martial, if he's off, can drop a 2 out of 10. But Dan James doesn't seem to do that because his work ethic gets him through it. I'm not saying that Rashford's got a poor work ethic or whatever, but just the way Dan James goes about it, the fact he's constantly running, he's constantly on the move, and his pace and everything like that seems to get him out of a lot of holes. So he has a lot of forgiveness. I think that's where a lot of Man United fans like him, is because of how hard he works. Yeah, like he gets a lot of slack cut because he might miss a chance, he might miss an easy pass because he doesn't have that quality, but he'll run like hell for 90 minutes if you ask him to. If you ask him to mark, if he's got to mark Rafinha in that first game of the season, he's just got to follow Rafinha up and down that touchment, he'll do it.
He'll do it well, and he'll deal with him quite comfortably. He won't even keep up with him. He's quicker than him. Yeah, I
think he's a brilliant squad player. Like, I think he gets, and his time at Wales can only improve him playing with players like Ramsey and Bale and players like that. They can only get better. Like, he's never going to make Man United worse by being a squad option. There's worse squad options to have than Dan James, I think.
The good thing about him as well is I don't particularly think their manager's good enough. I don't think Page or whatever he's called, I don't think he's good enough for Wales, but the one thing he's identified is he's playing his forward positions in a system that suits them, that 4-3-3, and he plays them as a left winger, and he gives him the ability. He gives Gareth Bale the ability to roam, let him do what he does. Kiefer Moore just gets into the box of presence. Dan James can just whip a ball in, but uses his pace to break up defensive work from their own half. So he does have roles to play, and I think as a squad player, I'm fine with that, but as a starter, no, absolutely not.
I was going to come to a comment there, Scott Murphy, in here to comment, even Scott, hope all is well, pal. He said there's going to be a lot of rival fans with high cholesterol levels over Jadon Sancho signing tonight, all salty. Yeah, look, I've seen a lot of salty reactions on social media already. The agendas are already cooking up. But look, it's all okay. It's all okay. When you sign for Man United, you know what's come with that and what comes with being a Man United player. Loved, adored, never ignored, but I think that's the pressure that comes with the football club, and I think Sancho has that personality where he can overcome that and be a very good player for Man United. It's going to come to
my only worry, though, there is one thing I do worry about, and I think you lads will all agree with me on this. It's not the price tag; it's what comes with it. Because you look at our 2 most expensive signings, they are always scapegoated. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, you could have a haircut change, for example, and you're in the limelight. You could lose your man at a set piece and then be in the spotlight. I've got nothing against, and you know what I'm saying? There is going to be that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'll stop you right there. being honest, you know
I'm telling the
what you
truth.
sign up for. You know what you sign up for as a Man United player.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't hack it, don't come to the club.
He'll test his metal. That's what I'm looking forward to. Test his metal and see what he can do.
I'm going to come to Trevor's comment here. Trevor says, what number do you think Sancho will have? I need 7, but then Cavani 9. Martial to be sold. I think Martial will stay because of Rashford's surgery, to be quite honest with you. I don't want to see Ollie leave himself. So, if Jesse Lingard leaves, you might get 14. I think that's an option.
There is a few numbers there.
Or you go down, for me, you go down the South American route. Let's restore the pride in the number 32 jersey. Carlos Tevez had that and he shamed that jersey and he left. Maybe give Cavani that number 32.
Yeah,
and
he is a bit of a psycho, so maybe the 16.
Yeah, absolutely. Victoria Secret has a comment here and says, and I quote now, once it'll pop up on the screen, crazy that we are signing Sancho for a similar fee that Arsenal paid for Nicolas Pepe, bargain. Well, look, I won't say the only thing I say, but that's right in a sense. We just have to hope it works out. I'm not gonna go down the road and shout bargain now, and then a year or two down the line, this gets clipped up. So I'm gonna be very calm about that.
We saw it last year. We saw it last year. He wanted to move. It didn't work out for him. He had about 4, 5, 6 months where he wasn't at his top of his game, and it was consistent in performance. It wasn't good at all. As soon as it hit the new year, bang! And it was no coincidence that Erling Haaland's form, even though he was still banging in goals, he wasn't banging them in consistently enough. The minute Jadon Sancho returned and they switched systems, he was banging in 3 or 4 consistently. So it says it all really how effective this guy is. Even if he has a poor 6 months. I honestly don't care. Even if he has a poor 6 months and he bangs in for January onwards, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, kind of. But I want him to kick.
I don't want it to be. Honestly, I don't want it to be that. I want it to be immediate.
But I need to go. I need to head. But I will catch you boys later on. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Enjoy. See you later.
No worries, Greg. Cheers for jumping on.
No worries. Catch you later.
Yes, obviously, something else I kind of would like to talk about. Obviously, as Manchester United, one thing we always have as standard as a fan base is, and this just been bled into us by Ferguson, is we don't rest in our laurels. Absolutely. It's great now that we have kind of the Sancho deal over the line. We have our right midfielder that's secured now. Now we don't have to worry about not having extra dimension in attack. Mm-hmm. Now we have to look forward and let's try and improve the first team even further.
Absolutely.
A lot of shouts for different positions. I'm going to come to you first, Reece. Before I give my opinion, obviously. Mm-hmm. Where do you think now United should really kind of prioritise next? There's a lot of shouts for centre back. There's a lot of shouts for defence midfield. Even some people are saying the right back position is a position maybe we can improve. For you, where are you sitting with that, and where do you think we should improve? And if so, give me a couple of names for them key positions.
To be honest, I think the positions you've said are the ones that we have to go for personally. Wan-Bissaka as a right back, no problem with that, but he does need a bit of competition there, especially someone who is a bit more attack minded than him. That gives him that little extra bit of confidence of improving. Defensive midfield, we badly need one. There's no hiding from that. In terms of that position, we're playing 2 midfielders that can't even do the job to cover as one. It's just not good enough. It doesn't affect the team as a balance or imposing a style. It's not good enough. Centre back, we have some decent centre backs in there, but we need something a bit more dominant in there, something a bit more imposing, especially after the games we've seen from Maguire lately. He's had some great performances. He needs someone in there a bit more assured that gives him a little bit of confidence as well at the back and for him to go forward. So for me, defence midfield, there's a fair few. I would say Locatelli, but he's going to end up at Juventus. But there's a few other players in that league. Tonali, Benacer, 2 of them stand out for me. Koopmeiners from the Dutch league. But I honestly think we're going to rub it in because I hate Chelsea anyway, so fuck the lot of you. We'll probably sign Declan Rice, to be honest. And if we do, I've got no issue with that. But as long as it's someone who's good for the job, like frankly, I don't want it to be somebody who's who's absolutely crap, like a B-Tech Schneiderlin, which is basically himself anyway. I don't want a repeat of that. I want someone who's good enough for the role, who's actually competent about what we want to do. Someone that is dominant in the position, that can pass the ball, he's aggressive, and he likes to impose himself in the game. That's what I want. Centre back, there's only one option for me. It's not Koundé. It's not Pau Torres. It's Rafael Varane. Like we can't afford to let this guy end up else at PSG or whatever. We can't afford that. We just can't. And right back, it depends on what you want. Really, like we've been linked with a few like Trippier, like Max Aarons is a favourite for a lot of people. I think he's a decent right back. Tavernier linked today. He's one I think.
Yes, shout out to Dale O'Donnell. He was the first person to report that Dale is a friend of the channel. Does often come on.
I approve that one. I like all three options. It just depends on what you want. I think the smartest option realistically is going for either Trippier or Tavernier or Max Aarons, because they're younger than Trippier. But that's no disrespect to Trippier, because his experience is also pivotal. I don't know if he's going to fit the system, fit the style we want to do next year, which is to be more on the front foot, be more high press. He doesn't have the pace, but he does have the intelligence defensive wise, so that might come in handy. I would rather we had that more option in there.
I'm going to come before I give my thoughts on your opinion there. I'm going to come to Victoria's Secret's comment. Guess which player won the most penalties in the Bundesliga last season? Bruno will have a field day. I'm guessing is that a certain Jadon Sancho, is it? Jadon Sancho. Well.
Yeah, he won a fair few there.
I think piss may be boiled on social media, especially if Jadon Sancho wins penalties and then, Bruno gets a couple of more goals and, the certain agenda is out there, what will come next,
Absolutely.
They'll start giving Sancho the diver brand to label that Ronaldo got at United. But there's nothing new about that. There's always agendas against Man United players. You just have to live that as a fan.
Naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to come to Eamon's comment here. I seen this on Twitter today myself. I'm just going to shut this down right away. Someone talking today, Maguire, CDM, and Varane, Lindelof, centre-backs, thoughts. That is absolutely ludicrous. Harry Maguire does not have the legs to play centre defensive midfield, number one. Number two, his best position is centre back. If anything, Lindelof would be more suited to that kind of Rolls Royce role in terms of sitting in front two centre halves and just passing the ball off.
That's what he did at Benfica as well before he got converted to centre back. He was made as he was converted to centre back because their players got injured. But the Premier
League, I don't think Lindelof would be strong enough to play that role either. So for me, that's a no-go straight off the bat. For me, we need to buy someone. We can't be shoehorning people into positions.
Yeah.
I remember I spoke to Dale about this on his podcast last year. We spoke on his podcast last year, and we were talking about Eric Dyer being linked to United, and he's a centre-back / centre defensive midfielder, and he's not like a natural defensive midfielder. And Dale said rightly, like, we can't be shoehorning people into positions. We need to kind of get specialists in positions, and they know the position at the back of their hand. And I'm in agreement. And
so do I. I know a lot of people want Ndidi, and I can understand why, because he has what I literally said earlier on, but he doesn't have the passing aspect. That's my only concern. He's a brilliant destroyer, and he's got the tenacity, he's got the energy and all that. It's his passing range that, for me, is like why I wouldn't want him. But I can see why many fans would want him. Many fans would want him, and I totally understand and respect that.
Yeah, he's a very good breakup player, and he's very good at intercepting the ball. But yeah, again, like you see some of the goals Leicester conceded last year were actually at the back of Ndidi losing the ball. So yeah, look, it's one of these things where you need kind of a specialist in that position. You need someone who can play that position is very good.
Yeah,
for me,
a lot of people still want Phillips. So what do you think? And I can see why, because obviously he has been excellent for England.
He's played that role very well at Leeds, and like we've seen the Euros, he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah.
Again, the only worry I'd have is he a defensive midfield player that will be good enough to make the
Yeah.
jump from Leeds to Man United. I think
Yeah, I agree.
like Rice would be a better player than him, but even still, even though I've been banging on about their Declan Rice kind of transfer to United for a long time, but I think obviously there would be question marks over him because he's homegrown. Because obviously, Rice is going to be a massive price tag as well. That if we do go in for that, that's going to be a saga in its own right. But look, I think he's definitely a good option. I think Phillips would be like maybe a third choice for me.
Mhm.
I think you have to I think when you look at the defensive midfield role, especially the way we play, we play out from the back a lot. Especially with Maguire and Lindelof at the moment, but I know the next centre back that Ollie will get, the profile of centre back will be that they have the ability to step out with the ball because he likes Maguire doing that. I dare to think he'd like someone to do a similar job when Maguire isn't on the ball when we want to play to different sides. So I think you look at the defensive midfield role, like Carrick done it a lot when he was a defensive midfielder for Manchester United, especially in his later years. Like he slotted in between two centre backs, picked up the ball, laid off quick 1-2s, and then he'd spray it left, spray it right.
Yeah.
And he'd be able to kind of, break that first kind of phase of someone pressing you. Like when let's say a team's attacking midfielder or a second striker is kind of pressing you. Carrick had the ability to take the ball under pressure.
And it was always like high 90% percentage for his passing. It was like whether it was long or short, it was always like high 90s. It just shows how consistent he was.
Yeah, because I think we need someone like that who can dictate the midfield. Where, I think for a long time, Scholes even said it about Carrick. He made Scholes' role in midfield so much easier. Whereas I think if you get a midfielder kind of like that in that same kind of mold that can slot in between two centre halves, take the ball and release it quickly, and can actually give it into a Bruno, Paul Pogba, Donny van de Beek, whoever it may be, that they can take the ball in them advanced positions and get it out to a Sancho quick, get it out to a Rashford, and actually to play in transition quick. Because I think we have the players to do it. I think you've seen even in Ollie's first 3 months in the job, before he got on a permanent basis, Man United played 4-3-3 with Matic, Herrera, Pogba, and we moved the ball very quick. And the transition from defense to attack was very good. I think a defensive midfielder definitely irons out that. I think if we get that player in, whether it's a Rice, whether it's a Sakaria, whether it's Sandro Tonali, whoever it may be, there's plenty out there who can definitely do a job. Locchielli, from the Italian midfielder, there's definitely players out there who can help do that job. It's is the case where I think centre back is a massive priority too. But here's the thing. I think for me, if you sign a centre back and a very good centre back in Varane, you get Sancho. If we don't get a DM, it's not a disaster.
That's a good point, actually.
It's not a disaster if that happens. The reason why I say is Varane has the ability to step out with the ball. Maguire has the ability to step out with the ball. And they're solid defensively where you wouldn't have to play both McTominay and Fred in their positions to cover a Lindelof. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Even if you look at the Europa League final, McTominay, Pogba played very well. No, not so much Pogba, but McTominay played very well beside Paul Pogba. If push comes to shove and we can't afford a defensive midfielder, then look, if we get Varane at centre back and we get Sancho and maybe a right back, I won't be too disillusioned because you've top quality talent there. But people say the thing about this isn't why I bring it up about not being able to afford it. Victoria's Secret says here we don't have huge money to spend on the midfielder. Sakaria or Basuma would definitely improve us for a decent price. That's true. I forgot about Basuma. He's definitely someone who could step into that role. One thing I'll say though is I just want to bring this up. We still have £45 million to come in for Lukaku.
True.
That potentially will come in this summer if Inter decide to sell. And also, Lingard goes, that's an extra 30 million. That provides you with at least 70 million pounds, 70 to 75 million pounds to get that defensive midfielder in. And you might have to dip in an extra if you want to get a Rice or whoever. So,
And there's still
like,
no
I think-
update on Mata as well. So even if Mata moves on, we're saving wages.
yeah, if Mata stays, but you see, even with Mata's contract, even if he stays, his wages are getting like
Docked. Yeah.
docked. He's going from 160 to 70k, which look, that's a 90 grand extra. We have wages, and you know, like that's a couple $100,000 a month that we're saving to maybe provide a DM coming in. Like, so I think a defensive midfielder will probably depend on what happens with like Samata and Lingard. I think like that it depends kind of what happens on them. Ellis from the Spectacle View podcast says, first of all, Ellis, good evening. Hope you're having a good day. Says Sewell will be perfect for the role. Ticks all the boxes. Comfortable receiving from the back four on the back foot, and also dictate the play. Yeah, and he's apparently it's rumored 32 to 40 million that Atletico Madrid are going to be looking for. Again,
That's good value.
Chelsea are looking for him as well. So, look, it just depends on. I think from what I've seen, United are going to prioritise centre back. Mm-hmm. So, if that's the case, then look, you kind of have to say the DM may be on the back burner for the next couple of weeks. I don't think, like, the thing about this is, I think we won't see much rumours of a DM coming out until the centre back is done. I'd reckon they'll carry steam. Because think about this for a second. When Sancho was getting closer in these last 2 weeks, and it was more or less known to us that the clubs were actually on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, the rumours for Varane started coming out, and they're gathering steam now. And Pau Torres came out at the same time.
That's true.
After when they said like United and Dortmund were on the same page, and that transfer was more or less going to be done after the Euros. I strongly believe that these rumours about a centre defensive midfielder, not that they're not hot right now, I think they very well could definitely, the pace could gather in them if we get a centre back done, maybe during the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I reckon so, and that's not necessarily a bad thing as well. Is like they're keeping the rumour, they're trying to keep everything under wraps as well. It's always been a problem for Man United. There's leaks everywhere. They're trying to iron these out. We haven't had any shouts by defensive midfielder since the Getafe boy, like a month or two ago. There's been nothing since. And as a Man United fan, I'm kind of happy about that, to be honest. Like, where it's all died down, so we're trying to control things. Because we sort of like it's what Chelsea do really well. Is Chelsea don't leak anything. Like, Chelsea are like silent assassins when it comes to transfers. That's what Man United need to be. They need to keep things under wraps, and then when it's announced, just like can go for it, and just attack everything. But in terms of like a defensive midfielder, I'm fine waiting as long as we iron out who needs to go. Get that dealt with first, and then at least we can invest whatever we have there properly. Because a centre back, even if we get a centre back as well, and Sancho, like if we got a Varane and a Sancho already, that effectively that irons out two positions that one we're weak in and one that we're needing like proper strength, and it gives us balance that we haven't had in such a long time. It gives us a balanced back four that's comfortable, and it gives us a front four effectively with Pogba behind Bruno and all that as well. So you got that basically a front five. It's complete control and it's balanced, and we've got a set midfielder. I'd be happy with that.
I'll throw this at you now. Back five of Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, Shaw. Where is that rank for you in back fours in the league?
In terms of overall, like compared to like our rivals or just the league?
Yeah, and compared, let's say top six.
Okay.
No, we won't say big six, because big six, there's two back fours who are obsolete in that.
Yeah.
Let's say the top six.
So the top six from last season, so us, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, West Ham and Leicester.
Yeah.
I would say we have this, I would still say second best. I would honestly say we've got the second best defence.
You say Liverpool, like, this is tough for me because
this is not me like dagging at Liverpool as well. Like, I think the thing for them is
when Van Dijk comes back in.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Right? I think with Van Dijk they are the best. I think with Van Dijk they've got the second best defence. I think they do. But without him,
The
I
thing
would
about
say
this
they're
is,
maybe
I think
third or
when Van
fourth.
Dijk comes back, right, I'll say it straight out to you. When
It
Van
won't be
Dijk
the
comes
same.
back, Liverpool will have the best defence in the league. By process
Probably.
of, I'll say this overall, right? Liverpool probably would have still have the best defensive unit when they get their full defence back, because they'll have Alisson in goal. Let's go off back five, right? Alisson in goal, Trent right back, Kanate and Van Dijk and Andy Robertson. That's a very strong back four. Bar the
And it's
exception of Trent.
creative and dominant.
I know
It's
Trent
creative and
defensively isn't
dominant as
great,
well,
but
yeah.
he gives you something going forward. I think that's a very good back four. I think you get Varane into our back four and Henderson in goal with kind of Shaw, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire. Ours and Manchester City's backline are very, very evenly matched, I believe. I think you know, Varane is probably better than Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz, I think he got found out in this Euros because I think Pep's system probably protected him a lot. I think in terms of Fernandinho and Rodri, people tend to forget. I think Rodri flew under the radar in terms of one of the best midfielders in the league this season.
I thought he was excellent. Like, towards the end of the season, once he got into the Man City team, he was excellent. It's not hard to, even from a rival perspective, I was like, he's a sort of player that would have been great for us personally. Like, he would have been.
Yeah.
Like, another player they've got that would have been excellent for us is Cancelo. The way he had the way he played all last season, he would have been excellent for us.
When you look at their, let's say, first team back four, right?
Yeah.
Walker, Diaz, Stones, Zinchenko. He played a bit more than Mendy last year. And obviously Ederson in goal. Like, I think you look at theirs and you look at ours, it's when you add Varane and fully fit Harry Maguire and informed Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka and then you Hendo into the mix. We're not too far away, I think. I think when you look at it, I think Maguire's better than Stones. Varane's probably better than Diaz. I'd give Walker and Cancelo the edge over Wan-Bissaka, but Luke Shaw streets above Zinchenko. Streets above. Yeah. So I think...
And we can't exactly tell how good for, Benjamin Mendy is, because even though he was great in Monaco, ever since he's been at Man City, he's been crooked, or he's only played 5 or 6 games and
gets injured for like 2 or 3 months. Yeah, so
and he's a talented player as well.
Very good
his
fullback.
Injury record's horrible.
Yeah, he's a very good fullback, but his injury record has kind of let him down in recent years.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think, look, if we get Varane in, I think it massively strengthens our back four. And look, I think him and Maguire would complement each other very, very well as centre back. And I think, look, when you look at Maguire's impact at England since they come into Euros, like he's been so good as centre back for him. Like Schick was unreal for Czech Republic for the whole Euros, and Maguire pocketed him, absolutely pocketed him
easily.
Schick done nothing in that game. You look at Joe Maguire then in the Germany game. Werner got nothing off him. Havertz got nothing off him. Gnabry got nothing off him. And he was man of the match.
Yeah,
you look at the difference in United's defence when he left, when he got injured. We didn't pick up results. We lost the Europa League final. I think Harry Maguire's proved a lot of people wrong, including myself. I think I had reservations about him myself, but I think kind of hindsight's 2020, where it's 2021, but it is a saying, hindsight's 2020, and I think you look at it and you say it is important that he's back in the team, he's back fully fit, and you get a good partner beside him that he's not babysitting Lindelof next season. Then we have a very good centre-back partnership in our hands. And even if it wasn't Varane, even if it was a Koundé, let's say, if we got Koundé in beside Harry Maguire wouldn't have to babysit him. He's a very versatile defender. He can play centre-back and right-back. He's quick. His position is very good. So I think once we don't have Maguire and Lindelof at the back four next year, I think, Joe, once Maguire has someone he doesn't have to babysit for me, I think we can definitely prosper next year. In terms of right backs, look, for me, I won't pay over the odds for Trippier in terms of like what's been quoted, 43 million. I think for me,
I'd rather spend the 20 million. I'd rather spend the 20 million on Tavernier.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of him to really rate him. To be honest, I haven't seen enough. I don't watch much Scottish football. I'll be honest.
That's fair.
I'll be honest with like people who know me. The only time I watch Scottish football is when Celtic and Rangers is on. I think most Irish people would be the same.
Naturally.
Yeah, naturally. But if we can't get like Trippier for a reasonable price, then for me, I know Dallow's leaving, but it looks things. For me, I'd be more inclined to maybe give Laird a shot next season to challenge Wan-Bissaka.
I'd like that.
I think Eaton Laird, Fabrizio Romano's after tweeting out something else now. I have him on notifications.
We all do. I don't think Brandon Williams is cut for it personally.
Oh no,
he's a player I like, but I don't think he's. I don't think he's cut up for the role yet. I just don't know if it's because he didn't play so much, or it's just when he's played, he hasn't.
I think he needs like that loan spell.
But yeah,
for me, that loan spell at Southampton could be great for him.
I love it if he went
under Havertz in that system, that's defensive system. I think he could do well for Southampton. Once he doesn't play against Man United or Leicester, and then he don't ship 9 goals, then I think Brandon Williams, it's one of them things. But like again, I think Eaton Laird can definitely do a job. He'd play very well at MK Dons. Like the reason why Brandon Williams was moved left back in the academy was because Laird came through at right back and displaced him.
Exactly.
So, it's one of these things.
And Devine wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to go into that team. He is now. Yeah. He's capable of it. But yeah, I agree.
Victoria's Secret says, call me cynical, but anyone think it's coincidental that Sancho news comes out on the eve of the New Jersey reveal? Glazer's PR team are doing their job. Well, look.
I've been saying it for a little while. You can back me up on this.
I said it 2 weeks ago. I was like, when the team viewer jersey's out, expect on that week the Sancho gets announced. Exactly. But it's not even... I can understand Victoria's Secret's thinking, but if I be honest, like just the minute mark... But think about this, it's been flying around the England camp. He was saying to people in the England camp that he was going to United. The fact Marcus Rashford pulled out his phone, yesterday, probably after a couple of drinks after England won, and, says yes with an X about announced Sancho, then...
That's like the new Here We Go now.
Yeah, it was inevitable that was going to happen.
Absolutely.
That we were going to make that signing. So, look, I think it is one of these things where, look, we need to be happy about the signing, but let's move on. Let's try to prosper, and let's try to, get...
yeah, that's what I hope we don't do. Don't lurker. Like, we've got the signing we need. Now let's go and get the next one done. Don't piss about. Don't sit about and have, like, a Cornish pasty and English tea. Just fucking go and get the next one done. Like, the sooner they get this business done, the better, because the pre-season will be up very soon as well. Ideally, I'd like 2 positions filled before we go to pre-season. France are out the Euros anyway. They're gone, so go and get Varane now.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But Reece, we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks very much for coming on tonight on such short notice, literally half an hour short notice. I said, look, I fancy recording a podcast tonight, though, for a chat about Sancho. Literally finished work at 9 o'clock, so I would have done this earlier if in fact I finished work at 9. So thanks very much for coming on tonight. For everyone, look, we will be back live tomorrow night on the Weekly Armchair. Just let you know, there is some changes coming very, 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 very soon. And so, in that regard, do stay tuned for that. And also, Talk League podcast will be back tomorrow night. Greg will be live tomorrow talking all things, obviously, Premier League and normal football and stuff like that. So, do stay tuned for that. And as always, do smash the like button just below me there on YouTube. And also subscribe to the channel that's literally below Reece, and hit that notification button as well. Every time we go live, so you will get that notification. And look, it does go a long way in terms of, helping us grow and obviously interact with more fans of sport. But yeah, look, thanks very much everyone for watching. Look, we're all happy. It's Sancho time, and look, let's hope this is the start of a very good transfer window. And hey, Manchester United signed up here in June. Who would have thought? But until then, guys, thanks very much everyone for watching, and look, we'll see you tomorrow.